Hello everybody, my name's Iceberg Lettuce, and today we are here in Minecraft Snapshot 21W11A for Minecraft 1.17, the Caves and Cliffs update. This snapshot has brought us a ton of changes to how oxidation and copper work, as well as a ton of texture fixes, so let's jump right into that. So first up, we've got a change that was supposed to happen in the previous snapshot, but didn't work then, which is waterlogged lightning rods. As you can see, you can now waterlog lightning rods. Moving on to how to wax copper, you can now actually wax a copper block just by right-clicking it with a honeycomb item in your hand. And so you can see there were some new particles around it, and you can undo this waxing by using an axe in the same way, and there's some new particles around that as well. You can use a dispenser to wax a block with honeycombs as well. As you can see, that waxes that block, but unfortunately the same is not true for the axe. That does not seem to be working. You can use an axe to actually remove layers of oxidation from a block as well. So we have a fully oxidized block here, and if I just right click on it a few times, you can see it takes all those layers off. In addition, if a oxidized copper block is struck by lightning, that will also remove layers of oxidation from it. You can also now use a waxed copper block to craft copper ingots. This was not possible before. You had to use normal copper blocks to craft copper ingots, but that works now too. Moving on to some non-copper related stuff, we have some stuff with hanging roots. First of all, if you use bone meal on a rooted dirt block, you now obtain some hanging roots. So this is now a renewable block. In addition, hanging roots are now slightly offset depending on where they are, like most plants, so there's a little bit of randomness in how they look. Here with the big drip leaf plant, you can now obtain more big drip leaves just by breaking the stems of these things. So as you can see, all of those stems gave me another big drip leaf plant. In addition, the small drip leaf plant can now be placed in different orientations depending on where you're standing. So I can place it like this if I'm standing here, but if I stand in a different place, it gets placed in a different direction. You can now use any stone blocks that can be turned into mossy blocks and craft them with a moss block to create the mossy variant of that block. The old crafting recipe using a vine still works as well, but you can now replace those vines with moss if you want to do that. There have been some changes to obtaining shards from amethyst crystals. You now obtain 4 shards when you use a pickaxe, greater than 4 shards if you use a fortune pickaxe, and if you break the crystal with your hand or push it using a piston, you will only obtain 2 crystals. This means that the best way to get amethyst crystals is just by breaking them with fortune. Previously you could just use pistons and get the same amount of crystals as you would with a pickaxe. There's only been one small change to the ore generation, which is that diamond ore blobs will generate slightly more often than they did before. A new hotkey has been added. F3 plus L will now record metrics such as tick length and some other stuff for 10 seconds and store them in a zip file. So if you're trying to report a bug or just track some statistics or that sort of technical thing, then you can press F3 and L to record that stuff for 10 seconds. All of the wooden sign textures have been updated to feature the new wood textures from 1.14. Previously they still used some old textures, so these have now all been updated and are looking pretty nice. In addition, the backside of the painting, which was previously using a really old wood texture, has also been updated, so as you can see that's using the new 1.14 style of plank texture. The item texture for the jungle door has been updated to accurately represent what it looks like in the world, and the item, or actually the entity for the spectral arrow item now actually looks like a spectral arrow. Previously this just used the exact same arrow texture as every other arrow. And one last very important change is that tiny pixel, that tiny little annoying messed up pixel on the top texture of the smoker has finally been removed. We can now all sleep easily. The spore blossom and the hanging roots can no longer float. Previously you could just remove the block from above these and they would float, but that is no longer the case, as you can see. Lastly, a couple of changes. We have cave vines can now be climbed just like every other type of vine. The default tool for the moss block is the hoe instead of the axe, and the texture for the sugarcane item has been brightened up a little bit. So that is just about all there is to talk about in today's snapshot. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time, everybody. Bye!